Yeah, what's happening? We about to bring that action. Gotta hold it down for my Seattle Kraken. Ayy, we going beneath the waves. We going beneath the waves. Get it hype, step onto the ice. Ready for some action. Release the Kraken. Ayy, we going beneath the waves. Going beneath the waves.
What is up, everyone? Welcome into the Beneath the Waves podcast, your weekly source of all things Seattle hockey and beyond. I am Matt.
I'm Alex.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Derek.
It's episode 29, and we are continuing with our look back on the 2024-25 season. On this episode of the BTW pod, we're going to be continuing our performance review for the Seattle Kraken roster based on how well we feel they did in the 2024-25 season. This week, we're going to be shifting our focus strictly to the defense and goalies. I'm going to be bringing up a list of players to you with some quick stats and figures, and then I want to know how we are all feeling now that the season has come to a close. Just for clarity on this list, I'm going to present these in mostly alphabetical order. We're going to shuffle it up a little bit when it gets to the goalies and gets a little spicy. Not in terms of any sort of ranking. You can judge these players based on your vibes, based on stats, whatever you feel like. And to our listeners, if you missed last week's pod when we talked about the forwards, make sure you go back and check that one out. We had some great discussions about those players. So we don't really have a lot to write home about in terms of part-timers coming up, so we're just going to jump right into the main roster Seattle Kraken defensemen, starting off with Vince Dunn, who had 62 games played, where he had 11 goals and 28 assists for a total of 39 points. Who wants to take this one first?
I see Vince Dunn as the pretty boy diva of the Seattle Kraken. He's flashy, he's feisty, and he's frequently putting the puck in good spots for us to score. He's an offense-first defenseman. He doesn't really hit people. He doesn't really block shots. But it's honestly because he's a lot more valuable as someone who's not very injured. He's a swifty skater. He's brilliant with puck on a stick. He's our team quarterback, and I have the most confidence when he is leading a charge for us. Puck protection, knowing who the right pass is, and being able to get shots on net are his strengths. He's had to be paired with a solid defense-first defenseman like Adam Larsson to stay balanced, as at times his defensive woes can hurt us. He's a star forward in a defenseman's body. Even missing 20 games this season, he only had 2 less points than Montour. Full health seasons of Dunner lead to many goals being produced at even strength or on the power play.
I know I'm probably too easy on all of the players. Like last week when we were talking about forwards, I know I was pretty soft, but I have a hard time being too critical of any of them. It's my team, but let's talk about Vince Dunn. I will say the team did seem to suffer when he was out. And I think we've seen that in the past as well. So, I think it was an okay season for Vince Dunn. A pretty good season for Vince Dunn. If you look at stats, 11 goals, 28 assists, 39 points. I mean, I don't have much to ask for more from Vince Dunn, to be honest. I think, he's playing the role that he should be playing. So that's kind of how I feel about Dunner there.
So, in regards to Vince Dunn, season overall wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best, so to speak. Like you mentioned, 62 games played, 11 goals, 28 assists for 39 points. For the $7 million plus you're paying him, we expect more from him. I know he battled injury at the start of the season, but still, you're paying him big dollars. He needs to produce. And quite frankly, it just shows you the gap in offensive defensemen on this team. I know you can argue that Dunny and Montour are, your top two, but I don't know. It just seemed like something was missing with Dunn this year. Really was missing with this entire team this year, but I definitely need to see Vince Dunn do more next season. He is one of your top earners, and with that, he needs to produce. And he didn't last season. He's not the same player that we saw him register 64 points in 81 games the year of his contract in 2022-2023. So in regards to that, he needs to come out of the gate next year flying, or I definitely do see him as a player that could possibly be on his way out of the team at the deadline next season, depending as to where we are in the standings. He's a player that needs to be more offensively sound. And I think that's one of the key areas that we are really missing as a defensive team, or on our defensive end of team of players. Vince Dunn, get more points. other than that, I can't really complain.
So I think this was a real up and down season for Vince Dunn. He started off pretty hot. He had the very first goal to open the season in the home opener. None of us correctly predicted that one in our time capsule, but hey, maybe we'll have better luck next year. And he was off to a decent start. Unfortunately, in October, he went down with an injury and had to be placed on LTIR, and missing 3 weeks or however long it was there, that just really did not help us out in the end. It did seem to start coming back together when he made his way back. 28 assists is pretty good. There's nothing to really scoff at or anything like that. But I felt a lot of the times we'd be watching a game and we went, oh, that one's on Dunn. Oh, that giveaway is on Dunner. So I don't want to get bogged down in just kind of the negative things that happen from time to time. There were lots of awesome plays that he had. The one kind of game that comes to mind for me is that miracle comeback against Vancouver Canucks back in January. Anyways, back early in the season, where he contributed to that last 5-minute 3-goal comeback, and then he was the one that had the breakaway, and he said he blacked out when he went in for it and scored the goal. So he had a pretty exciting Kraken hero moment there. So hopefully we get a nice, full, healthy season out of Vince Dunn, start getting lots of offensive production out of him next season, maybe see him paired off with Brandon Montour, because whenever that happened on the power play or the extra man on the ice, I loved seeing that. So fingers crossed we get a good season out of Vince Dunn next year. All right, the next up in our defenseman, we have Ryker Evans, who played in his first full-ish season with the Kraken this year. He played in 73 games. He found himself up in the press box kind of towards the end of the season there, with a little bit of rotation happening with the other guys, with Cale Fleury and with Josh Mahura. But across his 73 games played, he had 5 goals and 20 assists for 25 points. I think coming into this season, we were certainly all excited to see what Ryker was going to end up doing and producing, and maybe we had higher hopes, but hey, it's like his rookie season, essentially. So seeing him get 20 assists is nothing to really get upset about. He's contributing. He was kind of a defensive liability at times, though, so I found there was quite a bit of time when we were kind of groaning or rolling our eyes that he'd have some sort of giveaway or something like that. So hopefully it was just kind of first rookie-ish season jitters, and he can shake that off next season and kind of get a better showing. Very curious to see what kind of deal we extend to him, since he's an RFA coming up here right away. So make sure you stay tuned for that to see what we think should happen with him, and ultimately what does end up happening with him when free agency opens.
Ryker Evans. Okay, so Ryker is a tough one for me. I think I have to just separate personal and player in this one and look at his performance on the ice, which is what we're here to do. And I think, again, he's someone that the team did miss when he was out. I think that he played well this season, and I think, he is going to continue to grow and get better. So, I think Ryker does have a good and promising future as well.
Ryker had a solid season with Kraken this year. He's projected to be a young form of Vince Dunn in terms of offensive production. And the way he shoots the puck, sometimes we can get a glimpse of that. But that's all that's there right now, a glimpse. Ryker, like most people, needs more time to blossom into a beautiful offensive defenseman, the most primo valued position in our modern game. Being involved in 25 goals in your rookie season is not bad as a D-man. I was only involved in 3 as an 18-year-old house league defenseman. Ryker makes rookie mistakes somewhat frequently, but his defensive play has also been solid so far. He allowed the least amount of expected goals against while on the ice among all Kraken D-men last year, and while this is partially due to less talented lines going against him, it's also due to his solid play.
Ryker Evans. Very disappointed in Ryker Evans' performance this season, mainly for the fact that he was one of Dan's guys down in Coachella. And he trusted Ryker, he trusted him, he knew where to play him, and he was effective in Bylsma's schematics and schemes and ways of playing the game. And that didn't happen this season. It was vastly different as to what happened. He just seemed out of place, he seemed lost. He started the season off strong, and then he just tapered off. And he really sold himself as a bottom 2 pairing. I hate to say it, Ryker Evans played where he needed to play last season on the bottom line of defense. 25 points. Yeah, could be better. I want to see more from him. I'm going to be really interested to see what the club gives him this offseason for a contract. I hope it is short-term. That bridge deal, I'm hoping to God it's a short-term bridge deal because I want Evans to prove it to not only the franchise but also the fans because I think we have a talent there, but he needs to showcase that in a bridge deal.
Next up, we have our blue line alternate captain, Adam Larsson, who once again is just the Kraken Ironman playing in 82 games. It is just absolutely wild to think that across his tenure with the Seattle Kraken, he has only missed one game in 4 seasons, and that was due to the birth of his child, which I think we can give him a pass for. That seems like a pretty big deal to skip out on a game for. In his 82 games this season, he had 7 goals and 21 assists for a total of 28 points. I find with Adam Larsson, I'm just always kind of so-so about him. I never get super excited. It was, I guess, a little exciting at the start of the season or just before the season we announced that he had signed that extension because it's, nice to have one of those OG guys continuing to hang around for longer. One of my standout core memories from this season is when we were doing one of our watch-along games and Alex chimed in saying, "What are your thoughts about the Adam Larsson deal? Like, I think it's just going to end so horribly and it's not going to be worth the money and we're just going to instantly regret it." And sure enough, as soon as he finished that sentence, Adam Larsson scored a goal. So I'd like to think that he kind of telepathically heard Alex make those comments and say, "Hey, let me show that guy what's going on," and put it right in the back of the net. He did have some really nice goals in addition to that one that I just spoke of. And I think we just love seeing him and his best bud Vince Dunn together on the line. So keep those two happy. Adam Larsson's going to be around for quite a while here. So hopefully we keep having that Iron Man streak continuing and maybe get a little more points on the board next season.
Monsieur Adam Larsson. Well, I'm not happy about the contract extension now. I was ecstatic about it when he first signed it. Not anymore. He did play 82 games this season, but I think old man time is catching up to Adam Larsson, unfortunately, and I think that contract's going to kick us in the ass. 7 goals, 21 assists for 28 points. He's more of a defensive defenseman, so, I've ripped on him way too many times this season saying that he's been disappointing to say the least, and he's, maybe bite my tongue more than once. He's still a solid defenseman, but at the price that you're paying him, I'm not overly convinced. He definitely has a part to play next season, but I think that's it. After next season, I don't know where we are. And that's just kind of where I'm at with Adam Larsson. I love the player. I love the guy. I just don't like the contract that he's going to be moving into. And realistically speaking, he did stuff, but he didn't do enough. And that's shocking for me to say because Larsson's a defensive defenseman coming off the season with the 28 points opposed to Vince Dunn, who's more of an offensive defenseman and comes off with 39 points. So partially, part of me is saying shut up because 28 points for a defensive defenseman is really good. But at the same time, defensively, he wasn't that good.
I think Adam Larsson's time on this team should have ended last year or this year. He is aging in not the best way and is primarily a room-clearing, hit-laying, shot-blocking defense-first defenseman, which are not as primo as their offensive counterparts. But his bread and butter has been anchoring his crazy brother Vince down while he is running all over the place trying to score. Assuming he can do this effectively in the years to come, his $5.25 million until 2029 will be well worth it. I would expect him to move down the lines as we find a younger defensive D-man to slot into line 1 with Vince. Could see Larsson pairing with Montour in the future. Also, after talking about room clearing, all of our D-men need to clear the room much better next year, for sake.
The big cat, Adam Larsson. Can we put Adam Larsson in the shootout, please? This is my big request, if I'm being honest. That doesn't have anything really to do with him and his decisions, but that's actually what I really want from him, is just put Adam Larsson in the shootout because he has such a great shot. He's so powerful. And I think there were a few times on these 7 goals we're talking about that he showed that, and it was so cool, and I just really want him in the shootout. And I think that's all that I have to say about Adam Larsson.
Into the back half of our alphabetical defenseman now, we have Josh Mahura, who really is kind of an interesting one this season. He had 64 games played, no goals, 9 assists for 9 points.
Josh Mahura is a guy I never thought I would be speaking about right now. Before this season, Matt and I had the honor to sit down and chat with his friend and Regina Pats reporter Britton Gray about the folks from Regina who were on the Kraken. Mahura's name, of course, came up, and I was like, this guy's going to be some bummy Jacob Megna who sits in the press box all year and doesn't do anything. I will say, he didn't get any goals and only got 9 assists in 64 games, which is still better than, my 18-year-old house season that I mentioned earlier, but he played good defense. He was reliable out there. That's the best word to describe him, reliable. You know what you're getting. Average NHL defense. It's comforting to have guys around like that sometimes, and I hope we can continue to put him out there when our goal is to not allow any goals against. He was second lowest behind Ryker in expected goals against while on the ice, and he's a UFA that I think we could easily sign for cheapo.
Josh Mahura is somebody that I hope sticks around because he's such a great third pair defenseman guy, and he fit that role so well, especially after Borgen left. He just slid in and did great work being there consistently, and I think he's completely serviceable and he's not super expensive, and I think he's a great addition in that way. So I hope we extend him. I hope he stays. Unless they have somebody else in mind. I mean, there's always that possibility that we see a Cale Fleury or somebody like that take that spot instead. But I thought Josh Mahura did a great job filling that role.
Josh Mahura signed that man. Yeah, he only played 64 games. Yeah, he only got 9 assists, no goals. I like his play style. Throw him on the the last pairing of the defense. I don't care. I like Josh Mahura. We don't have a lot of young defensemen coming up in the AHL and within our system to really make me hesitate on signing him to a contract. He can lay the body really nicely, and he does his job when he needs to. So you can probably get him on a cheap deal. He did great. Once we got rid of Borgen, he really stepped into his role and just went with it. And it was fantastic. So, yeah, Josh Mahura, not a point getter, but effective. I'm all hands on deck to re-sign Mahura for, a year or two at a cheap deal and keep him there. Because while we're developing defensemen, he's a solid stopgap for that bottom pairing.
I felt pretty excited about Josh Mahura jumping on to the Seattle Kraken roster during free agency. It's one thing to have a Stanley Cup winner come across, and we had 2 of those, well, 3 of them, I guess, but 2 of them from last year with Brandon Montour and Josh Mahura, and kind of had that local connection too, as Derek mentioned, that he used to play for the Regina Pats in my area. So I was loosely familiar with his name. I just remember hearing it in broadcasts and catching a game or 2 here and there that Josh Mahura was a Regina Pats guy. So I was pretty excited that he came in. Not blowing the doors off the season or anything like that. He was just kind of so-so as the season started, but I think where he really started to shine was after the Will Borgen trade happened that sent Borgie away to New York and kind of gave Muzzy the chance to get out of the press box and down onto the ice and kind of fill that third line role. And I think he did a pretty good job of it. My absolute season highlight for Josh Mahura is, I wish I could remember what team it was against, but he just laid a monster hit on the person that was bringing the puck into his zone, and he ended up getting the puck over, I believe it was to Jaden Schwartz, and Jaden Schwartz ended up scoring. I think that might have been Jaden Schwartz's hat-trick game. So it was awesome to see a guy who's actually going to lay it down. He only kind of really had that one big hit, but that was a pretty big hit, and I remember we all had a pretty solid reaction to that. So I really hope, spoiler alert for our upcoming talks about free agency, but I really hope that we keep him around. I mean, we can probably keep him for real cheap. He did a perfectly serviceable job as a bottom line defenseman. So give him a chance. Let him keep getting those reps in. And if we have someone that we want to cycle out, hopefully he doesn't spend too much time up in the press box and gets a good chunk next year. Okay, next up, we have a fan favorite and for sure beneath the Waves favorite in Brandon Montour, who this season played in 81 games, 18 goals, 23 assists for 41 points. That one game that he missed, again, I think we can give him a pass on this one because he had a newborn child coming in. So, again, we'll let that one happen. But, oh, baby, do I love Brandon Montour on this team. Way, way, way long ago, before there was a BTW podcast, before we were doing YouTube live streams, we were just kind of making small, quick hit content. We did a quick video about the free agency reactions, and I remarked in that video, and I remember saying this, like, I don't know why, but I'm going to be a Brandon Montour guy. I am so in on this guy, and I know nothing about him. All I knew was that he was number 2, number 3 on like the TSN and Sportsnet trade boards or free agency boards up here when free agency day was happening, only behind Steven Stamkos. So when the gates opened on free agency and they announced that Brandon Montour signed, I was like, oh, hell yes, let's make this happen. I got a jersey made with Monty's name and number on it, and let me tell you, am I ever glad that that jersey is hanging in my closet. Where do we even start with the highlights that he had this season? We have the Montreal game where he got a hat trick. We have the record-breaking 4-second overtime goal that happened this season. Just watching him shoot blows my mind every time that it happens, when he has this Happy Gilmore style approach where he shuffles into the puck and launches it at 96 miles per hour. And I like RIP to anyone that gets in its way, because this dude shoots missiles. Monty missiles, just unreal. I love watching it. I am so glad this guy is on our team. I loved hearing that down the line he was taking a real like leadership approach. I think especially in the Jordan Eberle absence when he was out for injury, we had lots of reports that him and Matty Beniers would pull guys aside and kind of have locker room meetings. So I think it'd be pretty sweet if Brandon Montour got an A on his sweater now that Yanni Gourde's out. I think he definitely shows that leadership and the guys respect him. And man, he's just awesome. Oh my God. How can I even forget? We had the hat trick. We had the record-breaking goal. Easily the best moment from the Brandon Montour season was the video that the Kraken social team put out of him rifling off and sometimes explaining, sometimes not explaining the nicknames that he had for players, calling Cartier Pathfinder, calling Jaden Schwartz Schweeberger and Schweerag. Just, the dude's a riot, and I love having him around. Hopefully he keeps having an awesome turnout next season as he establishes his role on this team. 41 points is pretty great, but let's get that higher. Let's get that way up there. And I just have one question for the BTW universe out there, and that is, what you gonna do, brother, when Monty Mania runs wild on you?
Who could really criticize Brandon Montour? Honestly, what a pleasant surprise. Not that I didn't think he'd do well, but, I think the terms of his contract, just as we talked about with Chandler Stevenson, were a little bit shocking. And so I am thrilled that he performed as he did. I really like this guy. I am really happy we have him for a while. And, like we've talked about, these contracts may not age well, but for right now, like, I am really happy with how he played. I don't have any criticisms. Like, I think he's great. I also think he is becoming that leader. And I just think that there's going to be some great time that we have with him. And I'm really looking forward to that. Like, what a great addition to the team all around, not just play wise, but personality wise and locker room wise, it seems as well.
Monty Mania! Brandon Montour. Oh my God, what a signing. I know everyone's saying, oh, that contract, that 7 years, it's going to suck. I don't care. Monty Mania is here and it's here to stay. 81 games played, 18 goals, 23 assists, and 41 points. What a hell of a season. Like, realistically speaking, he got over 70 points that 1 year when he was with Florida, but Florida was a completely different monster. the Seattle Kraken is like, the My Little Pony compared to what the Florida Panthers were like when he played on that team. And the fact that he got 41 points is outstanding. 18 goals, the most he's ever scored as a defenseman. And he was one of the top defensemen in goals scored this season. I think he's just going to get even better. You add a couple players next in this offseason, he's just going to get better. I love this guy. This guy is going to be fantastic for this team. He is a leader. And he just knows what to do on the ice, and I think that's what we're missing. Vince Dunn, yeah, he's great offensively. Brandon Montour just brings it up an entirely new notch. So Brandon Montour, Monty Mania, let's go.
I think two fitting comparisons for Brandon Montour is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I mean, he had 16 points and a hat trick by the end of November. Then he had a combined 12 points over the next 3 full months. Then he had 11 points in March alone, and finished the roller coaster off with a 2-point April. Monty is like Dunn, but with better defense and slightly worse offense. His usage rate was very high, with Vince Dunn being gone 20 games this season, was often at 27 or 28 minutes played per game, so it will be interesting to see if he's able to maintain a more star-studded season with his offensive partner Dunn being back. Like we said last summer, the PP1 and PP2 of Dunn and Monty quarterbacking has lethal potential. He's also the subject of our best performing merch on bit.ly/BTW store, the Monty Mania line, which has been featured on official Kraken and Starbucks merchandise. So go pick up a sticker or a hat today with Monty Mania on it at bit.ly/BTW store.
And last up for the defenseman, we have Jamie Oleksiak, who Ironman status this season, played in all 82 games. He had 4 goals, 13 assists for 17 points. He's a pretty contentious person. Yeah, let's use that word, contentious person around here in the BTW offices. So who wants to take the first crack at Big Rig and how we feel about him this year?
If you want to talk about a guy who's exceptionally bad at defense and hockey, and someone we should have never taken with our expansion draft pick, let's talk about Jamie Oleksiak. Jamie Oleksiak is second to Carson Soucy in defensemen that have triggered the hell out of me over the years. He is huge, but doesn't hit like it, largely due to how unable he'd be to recover because of how little agility he has. We just don't need a guy this big on our team, and it doesn't seem to help. I love Jamie as a person. I love the checking commercial that he has with the bank. But I cannot stand him being on our roster when we need to improve at any possible spot to try to get to the playoffs. Jamie occupies that second line position, and so he needs to earn it, and we need someone that's better. We need someone that's better to get to the playoffs. That's where Jamie excels, actually, is the playoffs. I remember against Colorado and Dallas how impressed I was with his play. But that Jamie seems to be long gone. Okay, those days are far behind us. This is a scorched earth Kraken era. So many goals go in off this guy's skate, or his stick, or his body into our own net that I've lost count at this point. For those wondering, the only thing holding him back from Soucy is those stupid cross-checking penalties that Soucy got in back-to-back games that sent us to overtime in back-to-back games at home.
So I really like Big Rig. I know that's controversial, but as a human being, I just like him so much. But I do think, we've talked about him maybe not necessarily really utilizing his size as much as we'd want him to. And I think that continues to remain the issue. But, I actually really liked the pairing of Oleksiak and Brandon Montour. I thought that they played off of each other really, really well. And, going forward, I think that's still a great pairing. So, at least for the time being, while we have Jamie Oleksiak on the team, I like that pair, and I hope that kind of sticks around, because I think, Jamie could do what he does, and then that kind of allowed Brandon Montour to go in and score all the goals he did. So, for me, that's kind of where I land with Oleksiak.
The Big Rig came chugging, and, well, he did jack all. Jamie Oleksiak. Yeah. Imagine being 6'7", weighing like 250 pounds, the size of a friggin' rhinoceros, and you basically throw flowers at people instead of check them. That is Jamie Oleksiak in a nutshell. It's not the best defensively. Doesn't do much offensively. Doesn't use his body. Yeah. It's going to sound terrible, but I'm kind of hoping they trade him this offseason. If not this offseason, I hope he's gone by the deadline. He is what he is. That's all I got on him.
For me, Jamie Oleksiak's always been one who's just fine. We always talked about how we wish he would use his 6'7" frame and 245-pound body, whatever his actual stats are, to use that physicality, use that size to light people up. We did have a few moments, and we kind of joked about it after the Super Skills Showcase happened in November, and he won the hardest shot competition at, I can't even remember what ungodly number it was, but he had the hardest shot. And a couple games after that, he nailed one in the back of the net. So please, Jamie Oleksiak, let's use more of that size. Let's use more of that shot power next season. 82 games is awesome. Let's stay nice and healthy too, and we'll see what next season holds. The fastest game on ice just hit another gear. Welcome to the Stanley Cup Playoffs, where legends are made and every shift could turn the tide. And now, with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can take every slapshot, breakaway, and overtime thriller to the next level. New to betting on the Stanley Cup Playoffs? You're in for an exciting time. Getting started is a breeze. Fire up DraftKings Sportsbook app, pick your team to win, lock in your wager, and you're off to the races. It's fast, simple, and puts you right in the middle of the action. Here's the kicker. New customers who bet just $5 will score $300 in bonus bets if their wager hits. That's right, turn $5 into a playoff payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN. That's promo code THPN to unlock $300 in bonus bets when your $5 bet wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
So that'll do it for our defensemen. Now we have 4 goalies we're going to chat about this season. We could talk about Victor Osman, but I think that was just such a small, limited appearance that we're not really going to chime in on him. I mean, by all means, if you wanted us to talk about Victor Osman and we didn't and we let you down, come after us in the Twitter comments and we'll do a special episode just on him. Not actually. Put a little asterisk beside that statement. But we're going to open up first with 2 part-timers. The first one up, we have Alex Stezka, who played in only 1 game. Didn't win, so he has got 1 loss on his record. He had a 3.09 goals against average and a .870 save percentage. Alex, I think it makes the most sense for you to take this guy first because you are one of our senior Coachella Valley correspondent experts, whatever we want to call them. Whatever you want to put in your lower third. You're the guy that knows Coachella stuff along with Heather. So what do you have to say about Stezzy?
Alice Stezka, or Alish Stezka. Let's just go with Stezzy. All right, Stezzy, he played 1 game. He lost the game, and he got thrown to the wolves. As is tradition with Kraken goaltending. I don't think we got enough of him this season. Well, because we only got to see him in 1 game, so my whole argument's really moot right there. Yeah, I don't see him coming back. Kind of wish we got to see him more, but it is what it is. Hope he does well wherever he is, but I just don't see him coming back to the Kraken or the Firebirds per se.
It's just not really fair to talk about Alex Stezka because he was thrown into an impossible situation. I mean, who wants to come in after a starter goalie is pulled and have that vibe going into your first NHL game? I'm sorry, that's just not even fair. I'm not even going to give any sort of criticism on him because we don't have enough information. But what I will say about him is that, wow, it takes guts to come up and do that, for one. But for 2, he was playing very, very well in Coachella. And I think, he's still got some room to grow. And, we'll see what happens with him. But yeah, impossible situation for him to come into.
Personally, I can't say a whole lot about Alex Stezka. He came up for a game. He got put in there for one of them, and he stood there. He's got a really clean pad set up, so that's pretty cool. yeah, we'll see what happens with them because he goes into free agency this offseason. I don't think... Dude's 28 years old. He was drafted in 2015, which is pretty wild that he waited 10 years before making his NHL debut this season. And I got to reach out to the folks at Upper Deck because I want to see, with him getting a Young Guns card this next series that's coming up. Young Guns are kind of the rookie cards for the Upper Deck NHL cards. At 28 years old and 10 years after being drafted, I feel that's got to be up there in kind of the longest stretch between being drafted and actually getting that Young Guns card. So cool on him for that. I'm going to have some Stezka merchandise coming my way soon, but we'll see what happens with him. The other part-time goalie, which I think we're going to be a little bit higher on, is Nikke Kokko, who played one game this season. Again, didn't win it, so he has a loss on his record. Numbers on this one, a little misleading. We have 4.01 goals against average and a .667 save percentage. Alex, why don't you take this one first as well as one of the Coachella guys?
This kid is the kid of the future. Don't care what his stat line was for the one single game that he played, and it wasn't even a full game. It's just that the Kraken were being absolutely manhandled, and they thought, hey, let's just throw the rookie in and see what the hell happens. Because his 4.01 goals against average and his .667 save percentage is absolutely not to what we saw in the AHL with Kokko. He is going to be an incredible backup for Joey Daccord in the next couple years. I don't think it's going to be next season, but it's probably going to be in 2-3 years, give or take. And I think he's going to be fighting Joey Daccord at that point for the starting goaltender, which is shocking to say. He's going to be one hell of a player. And if you haven't watched him or any of his highlights for what he did play in the AHL this season, go back and watch them. Because this is a kid who never played in North America before this season. And he came in full tilt, ready to party, and he delivered. So Nikke Kokko, A+++++. This kid's a certified stud.
And Kokko is another one that I think is impossible to to criticize just because he came in such a bad way. It's hard with these. It's really hard for me with both Stezka and Kokko because they were just thrown into really just the ring of fire basically. But Kokko, I also think he just had a great season in Coachella. So I'm going to go off of that. That was a great tell of how he's still, growing and performing. And if I'm correct, it was his first season over here in the US. And so I think he had a lot to sort of, get his feet under him and sort of learn that as well, and the pacing and the style and all of that. But, I like him so much, and I'm excited to see where he goes from here and what happens next season. But, again, another just absolutely impossible situation to be thrown into.
So again, I got to say with this one, I feel we're operating with a very limited sample size with him only coming in for that one game. It was nice to see him getting the call up to the big show after how well he did in Coachella Valley. He just lit it up down there. I loved in Desert Dialogues hearing each week Nikke Kokko did this, Nikke Kokko did that. He's just doing awesome things down there. So very curious to see, do we buy out Gru in this offseason and get a short-term backup goalie for Joey, as I do think that it's too soon for Kokko to come up, but down the line, I'd be very pumped to see him be goalie 2 behind Joey Daccord.
The only two things I have to say here is Stezka's old, he's 28 and mid. Kokko is young, 21, and played worse at the NHL level than Stezka did this year. But he's been, I'd say, much better at the AHL level this year than Stezka has, playing more games. So Kokko's very exciting for me, being 21, playing better than Stezka, this 28-year-old seasoned AHLer. So Kokko's got a pretty bright future, I would guess. So yeah, that's something to be excited about.
All right, folks, this is where we're going to get into the fun stuff, because we have our two Kraken goalies now that we're going to dive into. I'm first going to recommend, if you did not listen to episode 27 which was our top 5 storylines of the year. Go back to that and listen to our thoughts on Goaliegate this season. Heather did an awesome write-up and breakdown of it. We chimed in on it as well, letting you know our thoughts, and that's going to kind of give you maybe some extra context to our thoughts here. We're going to start first with Joey Daccord, who played in 57 games this season. He had 27 wins, 23 losses, 5 losses in overtime. His season goals against average was 2.75, and his season save percentage was .906, so who wants him first? Let's hear what you have to say about Joey.
Joey had such a great season. It makes me so excited because I think that was my biggest prediction this, before the season started, was that Joey would be 1A and he'd have a great season. And I was so excited for it. The only thing he didn't do for me was that goalie goal. But you know what? I think it's coming. I think he'll get it. I know in his tenure as a Kraken, we will see that goalie goal and I will lose my mind because I cannot wait. But honestly, a great season for Joey. The only unfortunate thing was that the team didn't perform better in general because he had such an incredible season. And it would have been so nice if the team had been on that similar level to make those the performances worth it. But even still, wow, just what an amazing thing to watch. Joey just flourished this year. And I think the only thing that, that we could say about it is that they just burned him out. And it was such a big concern of mine that they would burn him out, and they did, because he started to show some of those cracks there at the end. But, otherwise, just way to go, J-Dax. We are your biggest fan, or at least I am.
Joey Daccord getting national honors this year, being a star of the week multiple times, a top goalie of the month, a top goalie of the week a few times, being first in goals saved above expected at points in the season, above Connor Hellebuck at certain points in the season, was really special. He ended the season gasping for air a bit. Some numbers started to fall off. Wasn't looking like normal Joey that we've come to expect this season, which is really crazy because, there really hasn't been a huge sample size of Joey Daccord being this star, but we just expected at this point because of how consistent he's been so far. I think it would have been nice for him to get some more rest as the season closed out. But when you have a backup goalie playing so badly as Grubauer did, it's hard to justify it, I guess.
This man is the only reason it was fun to watch Seattle Kraken hockey this season, in my opinion. 59 games played, 27 wins, 23 losses, 5 overtime losses, a 2.75 goals against average, a .906 save percentage. And those numbers would be way better if he played on a team that absolutely knew how to play defense and could actually win a game. Because, and I do mean that, if you threw Joey Daccord onto any playoff contending team, his numbers would be astronomical. He is your number one goaltender. He's a, confirmed, certified, whatever you want to say, that's what he is. And he proved it this year because he was playing in front of an absolute team. Waiting for the goal horn on that one. Yeah, Joey did everything he could to do whatever he could for the Kraken to have a fighting chance. Without him, this season would be completely gone. And yeah, I can't wait to see what he's going to do next season. I just hope that we develop something that a defense and an offense that we can completely rely on it, because our goaltending is secure. With Joey and net, our goaltending is secure.
To steal a frequently used word from Alex last week, Joey Daccord this season was a certified stud. We were very hyped on him coming in this season, especially after how well he did last season with the Winter Classic shutout and all the other amazing moments that he had. We were pumped. Well, most of us were pumped. Derek was convinced at the start of the season during our time caps that Grubauer would be goalie 1A. But we were very pumped about Joey Daccord. I can't even tell you, of those 57 games, of those 27 wins, how many times we were bailed out just solely on Joey alone. But the amount of times when he was left hung out to dry is just ridiculous. So superhuman, Herculean efforts from Joey Daccord throughout the season. And hey, quick shameless plug. If you're a fan of Joey Daccord, make sure you head over to the BTW store, bit.ly/BTW store, because we have an awesome Joey Daccord Air Jordan-esque design in our shop that Derek helped my silly idea come to mind. And it's pretty awesome. So go ahead and scoop one of those up. But I can't wait for Joey to continue growing and establishing himself next season as our all-star. He's going to hopefully have a lot of confidence coming in, just getting the gold medal in the IIHF Men's Worlds. So good on him. We love us some Joey Daccord. Let's keep it going. Here we go. Wrapping it up. Perhaps the juiciest of our breakdowns left for last. Phillip Grubauer, the German gentleman, played in 26 games this season. He had 8 wins, 17 losses, 1 overtime loss. His goals against average for the season was 3.49, and his season save percentage was .875. I'm going to go first in this one because I feel you guys are going to be a little more maybe heated on this one than me. But, I mean, what can you say about Gru? Not a 5.9 or whatever the hell he's making $1 million performance this season. He talked a lot about, and again, if you go listen to our episode 27 Goalie Gate breakdown about this, he talked about how it was tough for him to find a rhythm because he was sitting so often and he would get those cold stretches. But you gotta put in the work and get the results to make that roll keep going, my guy. It was painful to watch at times, the games that he would give up, and granted, a lot of those games we would have his defensemen, his forwards, anyone out in front of him just leaving him totally hanging there. But your job as the goalie is to stop the puck and prevent them from getting into the net. And there were some softballs lobbed past him that went in that I know left us moaning and groaning on some live streams when he would be the one in net. So he did, I'll say, have some really good showings when he went down to Coachella Valley for his little stint that he was down there for. We were all stunned when that happened. Maybe we weren't stunned. I'm not sure. Were we stunned that he went down or stunned that they actually sent him down? Whatever the case, he seemed to be able to find his rhythm there and do really good at the AHL level, but then it didn't really continue when he came up. So we'll see what happens. I think we're all on team buyout, but who knows with this new GM and a new coach coming in, all that kind of stuff, what's going to happen. But if this is farewell for Phillip Grubauer, I'm at least happy that he got to come back for Grubauer bobblehead night.
I don't really have much to say. We gave him the opportunity, 26 games played. He won 8 of those. He lost 17 of those. His save percentage sucked. His goals against average sucked. He went down to Coachella. He tore it up and came back, and it is what it is. Yeah, I just don't think we can keep him. Just buy him out this offseason. Let him go. Let him figure it out. But it just can't be with the Kraken. Too many opportunities blown. Yeah, I got nothing else to say on that one. The German gentleman has said his final goodbye. And if he hasn't, I will eat a hat. Because, oh my goodness, if Grubauer's back next season, I will absolutely blow a gasket. But it is what it is.
I just feel really badly for Phillip Grubauer just because I think it has to be so very, very difficult to have a season like he did, where he just really struggled, really just had a hard time, putting it all together. I think he had, some mental blocks there. And I just think, being sent down to the AHL, while I'm always an advocate for saying that the AHL is not a bad place or anything to be embarrassed about. Like it's amazing to make it there, but I do think that probably rocked him a little bit, whether or not he's going to say that. And I just really feel for him. But, he did have some great games over the season. It just wasn't the consistency that we needed. And when he had bad games, they were just really bad. So it's really hard to reconcile that when, you've got a goalie like him. And I don't know what's going to happen with him moving forward. But I feel for him on a human level because that has to just be so incredibly difficult. I wish him the best, and I really hope that he can figure it out. And, it's been nice seeing him play, for Team Germany and all of that. So, I hope that he can kind of get back to where he was and, get another start in the NHL, whether it's with the Kraken or another team.
Gruby seemed to have everything going against him. Some of the goals in many, many games that I watched this year were the weirdest goals I've ever seen. That's not to say he was good or that he wasn't bad this year, but I think a lot of what happened could be cleaned up. To sit him and ice him so much going out of the year was kind of dumb to me, especially since everyone knew we weren't going to be in playoff contention. So the worst case is that we lose and get a better draft spot, and the best case is Group plays well, builds confidence and momentum into next season. It's brain dead management of these two goalies.
All right, so out of that, we're just going to do another rapid news rundown here for you, hitting some quick things from the week. On Tuesday afternoon, the Seattle Kraken announced that the team had signed Tyson Jugnoth to a 3-year, 2-way entry-level contract. We here at BTW are very excited to see what kind of impact he's going to bring to this organization. This season with the Portland Winterhawks in the WHL, our 2022 fourth-round pick played in 65 games where he had 13 goals and 76 assists. In addition to this, he played 18 playoff games where he recorded 4 goals and 29 assists. Very exciting and very promising numbers. Hopefully he'll have a great showing with the Firebirds next year. We also had one other piece of signing news that came out on Wednesday afternoon. It was announced by the Seattle Kraken Twitter account that John Hayden has signed a 2-year, 1-way deal with the team valued at $775,000 AAV. In the 2024-25 season, John Hayden played in 20 regular season games with the Seattle Kraken. In those 20 games, he recorded 1 goal and 1 assist, and he spent 31 minutes in the penalty box. Outside of the main roster team, he also played in 44 regular season games with the Firebirds. In those 44 games, he had 27 points, which worked out to 11 goals and 16 assists. And in the Firebirds Calder Cup Playoffs appearance, John Hayden managed to put up 2 goals and 1 assist for a total of 3 points in the 6 games that he played. If you happened to listen to our performance review from last week where we talked about the forwards, we were all very high on John Hayden and hoping that he would hang around. So really glad to see this signing, and we hope to see big things out of the bodyguard next season. The conference finals in the Stanley Cup are now underway as well, with no winners determined yet. In the Western Conference, the Edmonton Oilers currently hold a 2-1 series lead over the Dallas Stars. On the Eastern side, the Florida Panthers are up 3-1 over the Carolina Hurricanes. With the Carolina win on Monday, the Hurricanes managed to snap their 15-game losing streak in the Eastern Conference Finals, a record which dated back to 2009, so kudos to them for that and not getting swept yet again. And other hockey action, the IIHF Men's World Hockey Championships concluded on Sunday with Team USA taking home the gold medal game with a 1-0 victory in overtime over Switzerland. The golden goal came courtesy of Tage Thompson from Buffalo just over 2 minutes into the overtime period. This marks the US's first World Championship in 92 years, a drought stretching all the way back to 1933. In the other medal game, Adam Larsson's Team Sweden claimed the bronze medal with a 6-2 win over Denmark, with the Big Cat contributing 1 assist in that game. Here's a breakdown of how the tournament played out for all of the Kraken players who attended. For Team Finland, Eli Tolvanen had 7 goals and 2 assists. The previously mentioned Adam Larsson on Team Sweden had 1 goal and 3 assists. Team Denmark's Oscar Fisker Molgaard had 1 goal and 6 assists, and I admittedly didn't follow a whole lot of this tournament just because of the wild times that happened and being all over the place. But seeing OFM get 1 goal and 6 assists for a guy that we just signed on with Coachella Valley, that's pretty awesome. That makes me excited to see what's going to come from him. On the Team Canada side, Brandon Montour had 2 goals and 7 assists, and Ryker Evans had 2 assists. Team Germany's Phillip Grubauer had 2 wins with a .930 save percentage and a 2.02 goals against average. And then for the gold medal champ, Team USA Kraken players, Matty Beniers had 3 goals and 3 assists. Mikey Asimont had 1 goal and 2 assists, and his 1 goal came on a very fun Kraken connection from Matty Beniers. And lastly, Joey Daccord had 2 wins, a .912 save percentage, a 2.0 goals against average, and 1 shutout in the tournament. And one last little tidbit of news coming out of the PWHL, the 2024-25 season has now come to a close and the Walter Cup has been awarded. But you're not going to have to listen to me talk about that. Our very own Heather is going to have a special BTW bonus episode next week where she's going to talk all things PWHL to get us more insight ahead of the draft coming up and the future PWHL Seattle season. And with that, that's going to do it. Those are our performance reviews for the Seattle Kraken defense and goalies for the 2024-25 season. Derek, as we get out of here, could you let everyone know what we have lined up for them next week, as well as where our friends can find us?
Absolutely, Matt. Next week, we will be looking at our pending free agents and feeling out what we would like done with them in the offseason. Who should we re-sign? Who should we let go? Listen in to find out. And make sure to subscribe to the YouTube. Podcasts will always be posted there going forward as another place for you to find the BTW pod. Make sure to check out our store, bit.ly/BTW store. Like I said before, it has our Monty Mania merch, has Joey merch. We got a bunch of stuff on there. So go check it out. A lot of really cool stuff. And then also, if you have any suggestions for any merch, let us know. Please drop a follow and a 5-star review on the podcast app of your choice that you're listening to this, and follow us on all socials. It's free to you and it'll make our day. So go drop a follow at BTWSEA. BTWSEA, and we all hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Going beneath the waves.